It was a quiet November night in Moscow, Idaho, when 4 bright college students went to bed, unaware that they would never wake up. Their lives, full of promise, were brutally cut short in an attack so shocking it would grip the nation in fear and speculation. The killer slipped in and out, leaving behind a crime scene so gruesome and baffling that even seasoned investigators struggled to piece it together. Who could have committed such a horrifying act, and why? As theories swirled and fear gripped the small college town, a long and complex investigation would eventually lead authorities to a suspect, someone they never expected. But the deeper we dig into this case, the more unsettling the questions become. Let's unravel the chilling mystery of the Idaho Student Murders. Moscow, Idaho, is the kind of town where people leave their doors unlocked, a place where students at the University of Idaho feel safe walking home late at night. But on the night of November 12th, 2022, that sense of security would be shattered forever. The victims, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves, 21-year-old Madison Mogan, 20-year-old Zana Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin, were all popular, well-liked students. Kaylee and Madison were lifelong best friends, inseparable since childhood. Zana and Ethan were a couple, deeply in love. That Saturday night, they had spent their evening like countless other college students, going out, having fun, and enjoying life. All 4 students were inside, the house quiet, the world outside unaware of the horror about to unfold. Sometime between 4 and 4:25 a.m., an intruder entered the house. Armed with a large military-style knife, the attacker moved swiftly and brutally. Investigators believe the killer first entered Zana and Ethan's room. A struggle ensued. Zana fought back, but the attacker was relentless. Ethan was likely killed first, followed by Zana, who, in her final moments, had texted a friend. The killer then moved upstairs, where Kaylee and Madison were sleeping in the same bed. They didn't stand a chance. The attack was swift, precise, and shockingly violent. Within minutes, 4 lives were taken. The killer vanished into the night. For nearly 8 hours, the crime went unnoticed. It wasn't until noon the next day that the surviving roommates, who had slept through the massacre, found something horribly wrong. Panicked, they called 911, reporting an unconscious person. When officers arrived, they found a bloodbath. The scene was so disturbing that some first responders reportedly needed therapy. There were no signs of forced entry, no weapons left behind. Moscow police, assisted by the FBI and Idaho State Police, launched one of the most intense murder investigations in the state's history. But who could have done this? Why weren't the other roommates harmed? And most importantly, where was the killer? The investigation quickly became a national obsession. The internet exploded with theories. Some speculated a stalker had targeted Kaylee, while others believed it was a crime of passion. But the biggest mystery was how the killer managed to enter a house full of people, murder 4 victims, and leave without a single scream being heard. Police scoured surveillance footage from the area, and one particular piece of evidence stood out: a white Hyundai Elantra, seen near the crime scene at the time of the murders. It was the first major lead. Then came the DNA breakthrough. Investigators found a knife sheath left behind at the crime scene. On it, a single trace of DNA. The sample was compared to genealogy databases, leading them to a suspect, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger, a PhD criminology student at nearby Washington State University. On December 30th, 2022, more than 6 weeks after the murders, police arrested Kohberger at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. The nation was stunned. Kohberger had no prior criminal record. He was highly intelligent, studying criminal justice, ironically, the very field that led to his capture. But as details emerged, the picture grew more disturbing. Kohberger had allegedly been watching the victims, studying their routines. His phone records placed him near the King Road house multiple times before the murders. He had even conducted online surveys asking criminals about their thought processes. The most chilling detail? After the murders, Kohberger continued attending classes as if nothing had happened. As of now, Bryan Kohberger is awaiting trial, facing 4 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors have announced their intent to seek the death penalty. His defense team, however, has suggested that the evidence is circumstantial, raising questions about possible contamination of DNA. The victims' families are still searching for answers. What was Kohberger's motive? Why these students? Was he acting alone? And the biggest question of all, what was going through his mind that night? As we await the trial, one thing remains clear. The tragedy in Moscow, Idaho, will never be forgotten. But the case isn't over yet. As investigators and psychologists analyzed Kohberger's background, a disturbing portrait began to emerge. Bryan Kohberger had always been an outsider. Growing up in Pennsylvania, he was described as socially awkward and intensely analytical. Former classmates recalled his drastic weight loss in high school and an apparent obsession with criminology. Some said he had a fascination with the psychology of murderers. In his PhD program at Washington State University, he studied under some of the top experts in criminal justice. But was he studying criminals or preparing to become one? One of the most chilling discoveries was a Reddit survey Kohberger had posted, asking ex-criminals about their emotions during their crimes. Questions included, how did you choose your victim? What was the first move you made? How did you leave the scene undetected? Was he gathering data for research or for something far more sinister? Kohberger's phone records revealed he had been near the victim's house at least 12 times before the murders. Had he been stalking them? Did he know their routines? The idea that he had spent weeks, maybe months, watching and waiting made the crime even more chilling. But one of the most shocking discoveries was that Kohberger allegedly returned to the crime scene just hours later. Surveillance cameras captured his car in the area as if he had come back to see the aftermath of his crime. And yet, despite his background in criminology, he left behind one fatal mistake: his DNA on the knife sheath. As news of the case spread, the internet became a breeding ground for speculation and theories. True crime forums dissected every detail. TikTok users analyzed Kohberger's movements, and amateur sleuths tried to piece together what happened inside that house. Some believed Kohberger had an accomplice. Others thought he had targeted one victim specifically, with Kaylee being a possible primary target due to her plans to move away. But not all theories were helpful. Online speculation led to false accusations, including innocent people being harassed. The case became a warning about the dangers of social media-driven investigations. Even stranger, Kohberger's own past Reddit survey was now being turned against him, with people analyzing his questions as clues to his mindset. Was this the mind of a criminal mastermind, or a man who thought he was too smart to get caught? For the families of the victims, life would never be the same. Kaylee Goncalves' parents were outspoken from the start, pushing for justice and refusing to let the case go cold. They revealed chilling details, such as the fact that Kaylee had injuries that were more severe than the others, possibly indicating she was the target. Zana Kernodle's family described her as strong-willed and full of life. They believed she fought back, and the wounds on her hands suggested they were right. Ethan Chapin's family was devastated. He was a triplet, leaving behind two siblings who struggled to process his loss. Madison Mogan's loved ones described her as kind and loyal. She and Kaylee had been inseparable since childhood, and in death, they were found together, a tragic testament to their bond. The families weren't just mourning, they were demanding answers. Why had Kohberger chosen them? And could more have been done to stop him before he acted? With Kohberger in custody, the legal battle was only beginning. His defense team argued that the DNA evidence could have been transferred. They questioned whether the police had tunnel vision, ignoring other possible suspects. Prosecutors, however, laid out a damning case. The white Hyundai Elantra, seen near the crime scene, belonged to Kohberger. His cell phone records showed he had been near the house multiple times. The knife sheath found at the scene had his DNA. He had turned off his phone for hours during the time of the murders, a classic sign of attempting to evade detection. Then, there was the eyewitness account. One of the surviving roommates reported seeing a masked man with bushy eyebrows leaving the house around 4 a.m. Though she was too terrified to react at the moment, her description later matched Kohberger. The defense countered with their own questions. No murder weapon had been found. No clear motive was established. The prosecution's case, while strong, relied on circumstantial evidence. Would it be enough to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt? As investigators dug deeper into Kohberger's past, an unsettling question arose. Was this his first time killing? The brutality of the crime suggested a level of comfort with violence. Could he have committed other crimes before? Some began re-examining unsolved cases in areas where he had lived. Internet detectives speculated about cold cases in Pennsylvania and Washington. Authorities, while cautious, didn't rule out the possibility. Could there be other victims out there? As Kohberger's trial looms, the nation watches, waiting for answers. Will he take a plea deal to avoid the death penalty? Will the families ever get the full truth? And most importantly, will justice be served? One thing is certain. The small town of Moscow, Idaho, will never be the same. The murders of Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan have left an indelible mark. And even as the trial unfolds, one chilling reality remains. The night of November 12th, 2022, will never be forgotten. As the trial looms, the families of Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan hold on to hope that justice will be served. The evidence is mounting, the prosecution is building its case, and the nation watches, waiting for answers. But one question lingers. Was this his first time, or just the first time he was caught? The small town of Moscow, once known for its quiet streets and college town charm, will never be the same. Their loss is immeasurable, their memory unforgettable. And while the legal battle unfolds, one truth remains. 4 lives were stolen, and nothing will ever bring them back. This case may be headed for trial, but for the families, the pain will never fade. Justice may come, but closure? That's something time alone cannot guarantee.